Hi guys, I'm on the Dorset coast today, and this is a fantastic piece of coastline. It's a very famous location. This is Portland Bill on Dorset's Jurassic coast, but even so, and I've been here many times before, this is a great place for coastal photography. It's just a stunning location. So what I've got here is these rocks, or this sort of rock shelf in the foreground. Then I've got the cliffs leading me into the background, and then I've got this fantastic, I don't know if you can see it, but this fantastic lighthouse right in the background. So we've got a little splash of colour with the lighthouse. We've got moving water over the rocks, which looks fantastic. This is a really nice place to put together a composition, and I'm absolutely loving it. Now I haven't got any direct sunlight, but that's not a problem because I'm using a slow shutter speed to get some movement in that foreground, and I'm shooting with a 5-second exposure. So I've got an ND, a neutral density filter on, so I can slow the shutter speed down a bit, even though the light levels are not too high anyway, and it's looking really good. I'm on f11, 5-second exposure, and the equivalent of an ISO 50. So it's all looking good. And as I say, compositionally, I've got the foreground rocks with the water moving over those rocks, so that looks really nice. It's adding a bit of interest, especially as that water is nicely blurred. But I didn't want to use a super long exposure, something like 30 seconds, and that would smooth everything out and I'd lose the drama. So what I've got is a bit of movement and also a little bit of structure to the waves as well, so it's all looking good. And as I say, the cliff face leads off into the background, then I've got the lighthouse right at the end of the shot. Now I'm shooting in portrait framing, and the main reason for that is because firstly it's quite a long sort of vertically linear picture, but secondly on this side of the frame, just out of my framing, there's another building and it's got scaffolding all over it, so I don't want to include that in the picture. Now what I might do is actually crop a bit off the bottom of this shot and a bit off the top, and not turn it into a square, but maybe a 4:3, but almost a square picture perhaps, because I don't need so much space at the bottom of the frame. I want to start it at just where that water is just moving around the rocks. And the sky earlier, because I've got the pictures in the bag, was more interesting than it is now. It's not bad, but there were some bigger sort of gaps in the clouds, so the sky was really interesting. But even so, I might take some of the sky out. Yes, that's all good. F11 gives me a decent depth of field, so the picture's sharp from the front to the background. As I say, I've got a 5-second exposure that gives me some movement, but it doesn't smooth the water out completely, so there's still a bit of drama there. I'm shooting obviously on a tripod because I've got a long exposure, and also using a tripod just means that you take more time with your composition. I've got a remote release. You could use a self timer, but I've got remote release, so when I hit the shutter button, I'm not adding any movement or shake by actually pressing the camera, and that's really important. Because I'm using a digital SLR and not a mirrorless camera, I'm using mirror lockup as well, so I don't get any internal movements as the mirror pops up out the way of the light path to the digital sensor. So it's all looking good. Yeah, so what I'm going to do now is change lenses, because I've got this shot in the bag, and maybe zoom in on just the foreground and that movement, you know. And again, a 5-second exposure will look really good. It'll be a really nice solid base of this sort of rock in the foreground, and then the water sort of moving over it, and I think that's going to look really nice. And then it's, you know, it's a case of wandering back, shower and bed really, because I'm running a workshop here along the coast for the next 2 days. So I travelled up the night before because I come from Essex, and it's about, I don't know, 3.5–4 hour drive, so too far to do in a day. So I'm staying here for a couple of nights, workshop Friday and Saturday, then home Saturday evening. Yeah, so look, what I did want to say actually, though, I haven't put a video out for quite a while, and it's because I got to a stage where trying to shoot a video every week, now I'm getting busy running courses again, it's really difficult, and it takes an enormous amount of time to put together a YouTube video. So I'm going to try and do them every other week, but to be honest, I've been doing one a week for months now, and I just felt, I wouldn't say burnt out, but it just got a little bit too much, to be honest, so I needed a little break. So I apologise in advance, you know, it's been a break of 4 or 5 weeks I think now, but I'm going to try and get back to doing them every other week. And then last but not least, I've really love shooting landscape and wildlife photography, and I tend to find on my channel the wildlife photography gets much greater viewing figures than the landscape photography. And I was concentrating on wildlife because I wanted to build the channel up. But to be honest, I teach both landscape and wildlife, and I love shooting both landscape and wildlife. So I hope those of you that are interested in wildlife photography will stick around for the landscapes. But if you just want to watch the wildlife, that's absolutely fine. But what I've decided is I'm not going to chase viewing figures. I don't mind. If I don't get very good viewing figures for the landscape ones, then so be it. I love shooting landscapes as well as wildlife, and I'm not going to basically let YouTube sort of push me into just shooting wildlife, and I don't want to do that. I love doing both. So yeah, I hope you enjoy this video, and if you have enjoyed it and you haven't already subscribed to my channel, if you can consider subscribing, that would be brilliant. And if you give it a like, that would be superb. You know, a thumbs up, that always helps my channel. And also, if you do subscribe to the channel, if you can press the bell icon, you'll be notified when my next video is uploaded. So that's it. It's a cracking evening. As I say, there's some really stormy clouds around, so I'm hoping we might get some stormy clouds coming over this way, and that would add a bit more drama still. But if not, my next pictures I'm going to close in and just do a detailed shot of that water moving over the foreground. So yeah, I'll speak to you soon, guys. Thanks for watching, and yeah, I'll speak to you on my next video. Bye for now.